For those who don't know, Brookhaven has several versions. We have the current Brookhaven, which looks like this, and there are also very old versions of the game that I'm sure you've never seen before. But today, I want to see all the versions of Brookhaven with you, from the oldest versions of all. So for that, I called a friend who will help me do this. He said, "Hey, our friend is having a race." I didn't know that, but I'm coming up front to see if it's true. And you can see that the map is being modified and is starting to turn into a racetrack. And apparently, this friend of mine is racing against another player, and I don't know who will win, but I'm rooting for my friend. I'm getting closer to see how this race will go, and I'll test it with you and also check out the oldest versions right now. But I have to call this friend of mine to see this too because he's in a very important race. So I'm getting here, and on the right, I have to get a specific item, this sign, because I'll make them start the race. Perfect, it started. And now they're coming here, and my friend crashed his car. He can't drive very well, and the other player is way ahead, and he's laughing at him. And that's very weird. He's laughing at my friend who crashed the car. I said, "Hey, are you okay?" And he had an accident. And I don't understand why this happened. It just doesn't make sense. He said, "Someone destroyed my car so I would lose." And they simply destroyed his car on purpose here in Brookhaven. But guys, I want to test the older versions of Brookhaven because it will be very important, so he will have to join me in this. I said, let's test the older versions. And I want him to come because it will be important. But my friend is driving the car, and now he came right to this part. But I want him to come here too. He said, "You have to win a race against that player, or we won't have peace." Look, but I have more important things to do. I need to see the older versions of the game, which is much more important than this race. But I'm carrying him here. But apparently, that player is coming back, and he wants to race again. But I'll do this race quickly to beat him so he stops bothering my friends because he's arguing with all of them, and it was probably this player who ruined my friend's car. But now, I'm ready to beat him, and it looks like it started. I'm coming in here, and I'm almost beating him. Perfect, I successfully won in Roblox, and that was pretty easy. But he came here, and he said, "You're a noob and got lucky." That's weird, he's insulting me, but he got out of his car, grabbed an axe, and is coming after me. But guys, now I'm going to test the oldest versions of Brookhaven, and I want my friends to join too. I said, "Come into the game with me," and I want to see if they will come, and if they do, that will be great. He said, "I'm going to have lunch." And apparently, this friend of mine is coming here to have lunch at this in-game restaurant because he's running here. And he's actually coming to the mall since there are various foods here that he can grab, like Japanese food. And apparently, that's what he's getting. But now, I'm going to see the first versions of Brookhaven because this will be very important. He said, "Hey, but are there really many old versions?" And there really are. So I'm going to start from the most recent version to the oldest one of all because there are versions from when Brookhaven was still being developed. Now I'm in my game, and this is one of the oldest versions. But this isn't the oldest version. Actually, there are others, which is very interesting. He said, "Wait, this version isn't the oldest of all. There are versions from way back. But I got this car to drive, and you can see that in this game, everything was very old. The stores were very different, and there was this one, which was completely removed from the game. And down here, there's this secret that I'm sure you know. But in this older game, it was in a totally different place. And here we have the old hotel, the agency house, and this is the government house of Brookhaven. And if I go inside, you can see that there are many interesting things. We have the FBI, the judges, and also the mayor. But this building was completely removed, and I just don't know why." He said, "Maybe because it's ugly." And that's true. This building is a bit poorly made, and you can see that there are many weird parts. The roof is very badly done, and it really is a very old construction in the game, which was removed because of that. And for those who don't know, this building is still in the game, but I'll have to go to the gas station. And if I enter exactly here, we have the same building, which I'm sure you hadn't noticed, and there's more interesting stuff in this game. I'm going to get this car, but it's very slow, so I'll get a better one. I said, "Do you want to see a good car?" And I'm going to show my friend a really good car, and I just put this car here. I'm getting to the front, and you can see that we have a very beautiful red Bugatti. My friend got out of his car, and now he's coming here too. And this car didn't exist before, actually. I just put it here to test this game. And here we have a nice skate park that was completely removed from the game. And also in this door, we have the second floor, which also isn't in the game currently. Actually, getting right here, you can see that there's only this floor because above, we have another building, which is basically a dentist's office. There really are many different things in this game. And we have this horse stable, which you can see is really big. And there are things here that were completely removed because currently, it looks like this. And we have this building, and also this other building. But in the old game, there were a lot of new things that were removed, which is really weird because there were some very interesting buildings that got deleted. He said, maybe he deleted it by accident. Really? Because these buildings are very good, and it doesn't make sense for them to be removed. But now, I'm getting up front because there's something very strange here, and I'm going to stop the car right here. But unfortunately, the car didn't stop, and it actually kept moving and just crashed into the wall. But I want to see if my friend notices something different about this house because this house has something very different that I'm sure he didn't notice. I said, "Did you notice something different about this house?" Because this house has a big difference. But he's coming inside and looking at everything. He said, "This house is just like the one in Brookhaven." And I think he's talking about the house on the right, which, for those who don't know, if I pick it in the game, this house looks a lot like that abandoned house. It's almost the same thing, and I don't know how he noticed it. But what I'm trying to show is not that. It's this house in the oldest version of Brookhaven, and it's not destroyed because if I go to the latest version, you can see that everything here is destroyed, while in this game, it's simply normal, which really doesn't make sense. So much so that my friend is looking around. He said, wow, the house is completely normal. And that's true. But now, I want to see the next version of Brookhaven. And for that, my friend will have to come back because I want to see the last things this game has before moving on to an older version. So I'm getting here in the front, and you can see that the apartments were different, and the beginning of the game was also very weird. And now I'm stuck here because this block is trapping our car. He said, wow, did you see those tunnels? And I think he's talking about these tunnels, which are completely secret because most people didn't know they existed in the old version of the game. And you can see that these things were here. This was really weird because it was a secret tunnel that led nowhere. In fact, it simply served no purpose. But we have this other tunnel, which is also a very short tunnel, but it's quite interesting and allows you to reach the other side. But not this one because I'm going to reach the end here, and I'll have to turn exactly here and go back to the other side of the tunnel. In other words, it's a tunnel that doesn't make sense in the game. We have this TV channel here, and everything about it is very different. But now, I'm going to enter an older version of Brookhaven. But my friend arrived, and he said, wait, isn't there a better version than this one? Look, actually, there is. And for those who don't know, this game is very incomplete. It has a lot of missing things, and there's a more recent version that is simply much better because we have houses up here, and the map is more complete. And now, I'm going to enter this game to see what it's like, but in a more complete and updated version, and then I'll enter the oldest version of Brookhaven that you've never seen before. Perfect! I'm right here, and you can see that the menus are completely different. This game is very different because the buildings were different, and everything was very different. You can see that the mountain got smaller, the tunnel is a little modified, and there are many differences in this version. But my friend just arrived here, but apparently, he can't talk, because this game doesn't have messages, meaning he literally can't send messages. But he's trying to communicate, but he can't, and that's really weird. He's sending a bunch of strange animations. But now, I'm going to get this car to see everything that has changed in this version. My friend got here too, and in this game, we have a very interesting secret. I'll have to get to this part and enter inside because here we have this totally secret location that actually existed in the game a long time ago and was completely removed. It's a very interesting place, and my friend is apparently going ahead because he wants to see what the houses look like. So I'm going back too because in the past, houses were placed in very weird locations like this one. But guys, my car fell down there, and that's not good, and it's driving on its own. The car is simply driving by itself, and you can see that we have this house, and also this other one, and the house plots were very different. Everything here was very weird, and the house back then was exactly like this. It had these buttons that were very different, and in the current game, if I go to any house, you can see that the buttons are very different, much prettier than before, because in the past, they were very ugly. But there was this button, which I really don't know what it was for. But my friend is coming up front, and I'm following him because I want to see what he's doing. And you can see that there's this building here, and these two buildings are also no longer in the game. They were completely removed from this house. But my friend is arriving here, and there's a very weird number here, and I don't know why. But my friend is coming to see what it is, and you can see that this is a TV channel, and there are many things you can do here. You can use this computer, which has a lot of interesting things. But now, I'm going back, and for those who don't know, I have these commands that allow me to fly like this. And now I'm flying here in Roblox, and this version of Brookhaven is very old, and there's an even older version. But first, I want to see this restaurant, so I'm going to use this secret command, and my friend arrived, and I'm going to type this other command, and now he's flying. He literally disappeared. But in this restaurant, there are many interesting things. We have a lot of food, and for those who don't know, this restaurant was completely removed from the game. And now, we have the new mall, and it was added again and turned into this restaurant, and you can tell it's the same thing because of the name. This is the name of the restaurant, while in the older version, it has the same name. It was just remade. My friend is flying again, and here we have the skate park, which you've probably never seen before. But now, I want to see with you one of the oldest versions of Brookhaven. And now it's the oldest version of all, and there's an even older version. And my friend can finally send messages. I'm sure he's very happy. He said, finally, I can send messages again. And that's true, but for those who don't know, this version of the game is a totally secret version, and this is the official version of Brookhaven because the game really used to be like this. He said, no, it wasn't, you're lying. Look, actually, it really was. The game used to be like this according to the game's history because if I go into the game and then go to the mall, there will be some movies I can watch. And if I go down exactly here, I have to enter this room and use some secret codes, and I'll use exactly this code. And now a different movie is playing on the TV, showing the history of Brookhaven. But if I use exactly this code, this movie will appear, which you can tell is the beginning of the game. It's simply the same as the game I'm playing, but this is not the first version. He said, hey, let's see what's on the map. So let's go! But there's a problem. I forgot to set myself as an admin and also had an option to run in the game. So I'll set it now. Perfect! Now I can finally run here, and I went really far. But I'm coming exactly here to see what the police station was like back then, and you can see that it was very different. The gate was very weird when it was being built, and everything was new. He said, that's cool. I never thought they would remake the beginning of the movies. I didn't either. But guys, someone saw the movies and just decided to redo them, which is very cool. And you can see that here we have secret codes that are really interesting, and the map is very empty because there weren't any buildings back then. Now, I use these secret commands, and I'll write this command. Perfect! Now I'm flying, and I can see this better, but you can see that there wasn't much because we have exactly this building, and the map has a lot of things, whereas in this older version, there was nothing. It was empty. And my friend is coming here because he saw something. He's coming coming to this horse stable, and this is the only thing in the game. We have this horse stable, which is very interesting, and probably existed in Brookhaven a long time ago. And there's also this very interesting building. But guys, I'm inside because I want to see what's in this room, but actually, there's nothing. But now, I'm coming to the front. Perfect. My friend also arrived here, and here we have the cemetery, and there are several people here. It says SUS, and here is the name of a real person, and here's a joke. But I want to see what happens if I go inside, but actually, nothing happens. And in the current Brookhaven, if I go here, we have this tomb, and I can just go inside, and there should be something very strange. And in this version, we have the same tomb, but the difference is that I can't go inside. And my friend is arriving here, and he said, is there an even older version? Yes, incredibly, there is an even older version, and it wasn't called Brookhaven. Actually, it had another name, but before that, I'm going to make my friend giant, and I'll write this command, and now he's flying, and I'll make him giant, and you can see he's giant, and he doesn't know what's happening, so much so that he's walking in a very strange way, and I don't know what's happening, but it doesn't look normal. He's very bugged. Now he's looking here and sent an animation, and now he's dancing. This is really weird. But now, more people are joining the game, and they're here to see what this Roblox game is like, but it's very strange to see my friend dancing here. And there's an even older game than this, which is the oldest version, and the name was exactly this. You can see it was made by Wolfpack, and in this game, there were many different things. The game's buildings were very different, and it doesn't look like Brookhaven, but some buildings do look the same. And if I go here, you can see that we have the school, and the school was very similar to Brookhaven because it's made by the same owner. We have the classrooms here, and in the original Brookhaven, the school is exactly like this. Really very similar to this version. Here we have the car wash and also the gas station, which also looks a lot like the gas station in the normal game. It's exactly the same, literally identical, which is pretty strange. But here, we have these two cars, which I took to test this Roblox game. Perfect, I arrived here, and now I'm coming to the front to see all the similarities between this game and the current one. You can see that we have the hospital, which is the same, and everything is very similar. In fact, it's the same thing. And you can see that it's very interesting. It's as if everything in this game was remade and then added to Brookhaven. And this also exists in this restaurant, which looks like the current one. But this game has a water park, which is one of the things Brookhaven doesn't have, but I'm sure it will have in the future. Here we have the police station, which is also similar, and this is the first version of the treehouse, which is very similar. And if I take this house on the right, you can see it's basically the same, but this house was completely redone. And guys, if you want to add me here on Roblox, just click the become a member button, and I'll add you here on Roblox.